Attention! A real story verified by a team specializing in the paranormal, with testimonies, images, and received documents. Proceeding may shock or disturb you and affect your emotional and mental state. Watch at your own risk.
My name is Sarah, I'm 23 years old, and I've been working as a babysitter for almost 5 years. I've taken care of dozens of children, spent nights in unfamiliar homes, and I've always prided myself on staying calm in any situation. But what happened that October night changed everything. I could never look at a silent house the same way again. I could never ignore that feeling of being watched when everyone should be asleep. And most of all, I could never forget that little girl's smile. It was an ordinary Friday when I received the call. A female voice, polite and a bit rushed, explained that they needed someone to stay with their 2 daughters overnight. They had an important event, would be back around midnight, and the girls would already be asleep when I arrived. The house was in a quiet residential neighborhood, one of those places where the streets are wide and tree-lined, where each property has a well-kept garden and white fences. The kind of place where nothing bad could ever happen, or at least that's what I thought. I arrived at 8 o'clock at night, exactly on time. The house was beautiful, 2 stories, with a welcoming facade painted in light tones. The couple greeted me at the door with polite smiles, but there was something in their eyes, a subtle tension, as if they were constantly on alert. The woman, who introduced herself as Amanda, showed me around the house quickly. The living room was spacious and well decorated, with family photos on the walls. I noticed there were many photos of the 2 girls, always smiling, always together. The kitchen was spotless, with notes stuck to the refrigerator and children's drawings held by colorful magnets. She pointed to the 2nd floor while adjusting her purse on her shoulder. The girls are already asleep. They're 6 and 4 years old. Please don't go up to check on them. They're very light sleepers and take a long time to fall back asleep if they wake up. Her voice was firm, almost an order disguised as a request. Her husband, Marcus, handed me a paper with emergency numbers and the event's address. He spoke quickly, anxious to leave, but his eyes scanned the house as if checking something. Amanda adjusted her purse on her shoulder 2 more times before finally heading to the door. Before leaving, she grabbed my hand with unexpected force. Anything at all you call us, okay? And please don't go upstairs. Let them sleep. The intensity in her gaze made me slightly uncomfortable, but I smiled and nodded. The door closed, and I was alone in that silent house. The first hour passed quietly. I sat on the living room couch, checked my phone, answered some messages. The house was too quiet, the kind that makes you hear your own blood pulsing in your ears. The clock on the wall marked each second with a metallic tick-tock that echoed through the room. Around 9:30, I heard a sound coming from upstairs. A soft creak, as if someone were walking slowly down the hallway. I paused, paying attention. Silence. Probably the house settling, I thought. Old houses do that all the time. But then I heard it again. Light footsteps, almost imperceptible, followed by the sound of a door opening. My heart raced a little. I remembered Amanda's words, asking me not to go upstairs. But if one of the girls had woken up, I needed to know. I stood at the base of the stairs, looking up at the dark 2nd floor hallway. The light from the lamp I'd seen earlier was now off. Everything was plunged in shadows. "Hello?" I called softly, my voice sounding strangely loud in the silence. No response. I waited a few more minutes, but nothing happened. I went back to the living room, trying to convince myself they were just the normal sounds of an unfamiliar house. I picked up my phone again, but I couldn't concentrate. There was something in the air, a feeling that I wasn't as alone as I should be. That's when I heard the laughter. Low, muffled, coming from somewhere upstairs. A child's laughter, cheerful, as if someone were having fun with a secret game. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking under my feet. The 2nd floor hallway stretched before me, long and dark, with 4 closed doors. The only light came from the window at the end of the hall, where the moon cast a pale, ghostly glow over the wooden floor. "Hello? Is everything okay up there?" My voice came out shaky. Silence again. I walked to the first door on the left, which I imagined was the girls' room. I pressed my ear against the wood, trying to catch any sound. Deep, regular breathing. They were sleeping. But if both were sleeping, who had laughed? My mind began creating rational explanations. Maybe it was the sound of a neighbor's television or a child playing outside. But deep down, I knew that sound had come from inside the house. I went back downstairs, faster this time. The living room now seemed different, as if the furniture had shifted a few inches. The temperature had dropped, and I could see my own breath forming small clouds of vapor in the air. I grabbed my jacket from the couch and put it on, rubbing my arms to warm up. That's when I noticed something strange. The kitchen door, which I was sure I'd left closed, was ajar. A dark gap watched me like a half-closed eye. I approached slowly, my heart beating so hard it felt like it wanted to escape my chest. I pushed the door all the way open. The kitchen was empty, but something was different. The magnets on the refrigerator had been rearranged. The children's drawings now formed a circular pattern, as if someone had been playing with them. And in the center, a drawing I hadn't noticed before. A girl with long hair, smiling, with 3 other smaller figures beside her. I went back to the living room, trying to control my breathing. I looked at the clock. Only 10:15. There were still almost 2 hours until the couple returned. I sat on the couch, but I couldn't relax. Every shadow seemed to move. Every sound seemed to carry hidden meaning. The silence was broken by footsteps coming down the stairs. This time, they weren't subtle. They were firm, deliberate steps from someone who was no longer hiding. I jumped up, my whole body tense, eyes fixed on the staircase. A girl appeared on the last step. She was about 8 or 9 years old, with long brown hair falling over her shoulders, wearing light blue pajamas with white stars. Her eyes were large and dark, and there was a playful smile on her face. She looked at me as if she'd known me for years. "Hi," she said in a soft, cheerful voice. "Are you the new babysitter?" My heart was still racing, but her presence was strangely comforting. Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe there were 3 daughters, not 2. Maybe Amanda had forgotten to mention it. "Yes, that's me. Did you wake up? Is everything okay?" I asked, trying to sound calm. She shrugged, coming down the last step and walking into the living room. Her bare feet made no sound on the wooden floor. "I always wake up at this time. I like to play around the house when my sisters are sleeping. They're too young, you know. They can't play the things I like." She sat on the living room rug, crossing her legs, and looked at me expectantly. "Do you want to play with me?" I hesitated. Something about this situation felt wrong, but I couldn't identify what. The girl seemed completely normal, just a bored child wanting attention. "What kind of game?" I asked, sitting on the edge of the couch. "Hide and seek," she exclaimed, clapping her hands. "I love hide and seek. This house has so many secret places where no one ever looks." Her smile widened, and for a brief moment, something in her eyes gleamed strangely, as if reflecting a light that didn't exist. I agreed to play, thinking it would be a way to calm her down before putting her back to bed. "Okay, but just 1 round. Then you need to sleep, deal?" She nodded enthusiastically, already getting up. "You count to 30 and look for me. No peeking." I turned my back, covering my eyes with my hands, and began counting out loud. I heard her footsteps moving away quickly, going up the stairs, followed by the sound of a door opening and closing. When I reached 30, I turned around and started searching. I went upstairs calling her name softly, but I realized something terrible. I didn't know her name. She hadn't introduced herself, and I hadn't asked. "Where are you?" I called, my voice echoing through the dark hallway. I opened the first door. An empty bathroom. The second door revealed a master bedroom, impeccably arranged. The third was an office, with a desk covered in papers and a bookshelf full of books. No sign of the girl. I went to the last door, the children's room. I hesitated, remembering Amanda's insistent request not to enter. But the girl had to be somewhere. I turned the doorknob slowly and pushed the door open. The moon-shaped lamp was on again, casting a soft glow over the 2 beds. 2 girls were sleeping soundly, exactly as they should be. One was about 6 years old, the other 4. Both were breathing in the peaceful rhythm of deep sleep. I felt my blood run cold. If both were there, sleeping, who was playing with me? It was at that moment I heard the laughter behind me. I turned abruptly. The girl was standing in the hallway, her smile now wider, almost impossible. "You found me," she whispered, but her voice sounded different. more distant, as if coming from far away. My parents are really nice and I love them very much, she continued, tilting her head in a strange way. I can't stay away for long, but it's so good when someone plays with me again. Her words filled me with inexplicable dread. Before I could respond, I heard the sound of a key turning in the front door lock. Voices. The couple had come back early. When I looked back at the hallway, the girl had disappeared. Simply vanished, as if she had never been there. I went downstairs trembling, my legs barely supporting me. Amanda and Marcus came through the door, taking off their coats. They looked surprised to see me so pale, with wide eyes. "Is everything okay?" Amanda asked, frowning. I tried to organize my thoughts, but the words came out jumbled. Yes, everything's fine. The girls... One of them woke up. We played a little hide and seek, but now she went back to sleep, I think. My voice was shaking, and I knew I wasn't making sense. Marcus exchanged a tense look with Amanda. One of them woke up, he repeated, his voice loaded with disbelief. That's very strange. They never wake up at this hour. Never. He went up the stairs quickly, 2 steps at a time, and I heard the bedroom door open. A few seconds later, he came back down, his face confused. Both are sleeping soundly, they don't look like they moved all night. His eyes pierced me with suspicion. Are you sure one of them woke up? I'm absolutely sure, I replied, my voice firmer now. She came down, we talked, we played. She told me she liked to play when her sisters were sleeping. She was wide awake, I swear. Amanda had become completely still, her face losing all color. She? Marcus asked, taking a step forward. What do you mean, she? What did she look like? There was something dangerous in his voice now, a contained anger that was beginning to overflow. I described the girl. Long brown hair, about 8 or 9 years old, blue pajamas with little stars. The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda brought her hand to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. Marcus clenched his fists, his jaw locked. What was her name? He asked, each word coming out like a sharp blade. She didn't say her name, I replied, confused. But she said she loved her parents very much, that she couldn't stay away for long. Upon hearing this, Amanda collapsed. She literally fell to her knees on the floor, sobbing in a way that broke my heart. Marcus exploded. Get out! Get out of my house now! He grabbed me by the arm with brutal force, dragging me to the door. What kind of sick joke is this? How dare you? He pushed me outside with such violence that I stumbled on the front steps. The door slammed in my face with a bang that echoed through the silent street. I stood there shaking, understanding absolutely nothing of what had just happened. Tears began streaming down my face, mixing with the cold sweat covering my skin. I spent the entire night without sleeping, lying in my bed, reliving every second of that experience. The image of the girl wouldn't leave my head. Her smile, her eyes, the way she had simply disappeared, and the couple's reaction, that absolute despair, that uncontrollable rage. Something terrible had happened in that house. Something I had touched without knowing, like an old wound that never healed. I needed to understand. I needed to know who that girl was and why my description had destroyed those parents that way. 2 days later, I went back to the neighborhood. I didn't have the courage to knock on the house door again, but I saw an elderly man watering his garden 3 houses down. I approached him, trying to seem casual, and asked if he knew the family. His eyes immediately filled with sadness. Ah, the Morrisons. Lovely family, but with a tragic story, he said, shaking his head. They had 3 daughters. The oldest, little Lily, died 3 years ago in a car accident. She was only 8 years old. Since then, they've never been the same. I felt my stomach turn. Lily, 3 years ago, 8 years old. Everything fit together in an impossible way, in a way my rational mind refused to accept. Thank you, I murmured, walking away with wobbly legs. I was almost at my car when I heard a voice behind me. Sarah? It was Amanda. She had come out of the house and walked up to me, her face marked by sleepless nights, her eyes red and swollen. Please, I need to talk to you. I hesitated, remembering the violence with which Marcus had thrown me out, but there was something so broken in her that I couldn't refuse. She took me to a small cafe on the corner, and we sat at a table in the back, away from other customers. "I need to know," she began, her voice hoarse. "Were you playing some kind of cruel joke on us? Did someone pay you to say those things? Please be honest with me." Tears were already streaming down her face before I even answered. I told her everything again, every detail. I described how the girl had come down the stairs, how we played, the exact things she said. She told me she liked to play around the house when her sisters were sleeping, that her parents were really nice and that she loved them very much, that she couldn't stay away for long. Amanda covered her face with her hands, her body shaking with deep sobs. When she finally managed to speak, her voice was just a whisper. Those were her words, exactly Lily's words. She would wake up in the middle of the night and say she couldn't sleep because she loved us too much to stay away. We sat there for almost an hour, while Amanda told me about Lily, about how she was cheerful, playful, how she loved hide and seek, how she wore blue pajamas with little stars that were her favorite, how after the accident, they donated all her clothes. But those pajamas had mysteriously disappeared before. When we said goodbye, Amanda hugged me tightly. "Thank you," she whispered in my ear. "Thank you for telling me she's still here, that she still loves us, that she still plays in that house." Her words should have comforted me, but they only made the fear grow inside me. As I drove home, I couldn't stop thinking. Lily was still in that house, playing, waiting, loving her parents in a way that transcended death. And I had played with her, not knowing I was holding a ghost's hand. I never went back to that house. I never saw Amanda or Marcus again. But sometimes, on the quietest nights, when I'm alone in some house taking care of sleeping children, I hear it. Light footsteps upstairs, muffled laughter, the sound of a door slowly opening. And I wonder if Lily is still there, playing alone in the dark, waiting for someone to find her in the eternal hide and seek. I wonder if she misses having someone to play with, now that her sisters have grown up and her parents have aged. I wonder if, somewhere, there's a child who could never leave, trapped by the love she felt. I stopped working as a babysitter 6 months after that night. I couldn't anymore. Every house seemed to hold secrets. Every shadow seemed to hide something I shouldn't see. Every child's laughter made me freeze inside, making me question whether it was real or if it came from somewhere beyond. What haunts me most isn't the fear, it's the sadness. The sadness of knowing that Lily is trapped in that house, playing alone, loving parents who can no longer see her. The sadness of knowing that love sometimes doesn't let us leave, even when we should. So I ask you, as you listen to this story in the safety of your home, with the lights on and the doors locked, what if love were strong enough to trap someone between worlds? What if, right now, someone you lost were playing alone in some room of your house, waiting for you to notice? What if, when you hear that creak upstairs tonight, it's not just the house settling? What if it's someone who loves you so much they can't leave? Someone who just wants to play one more time? Think about that when you turn off the lights tonight. Think about that when you hear that unexplainable sound. And ask yourself, would you have the courage to play hide and seek with someone who never stopped looking for you?
If this story gave you chills, if you stayed until the end, trying to understand what really happened in that house, leave your like. Share in the comments. Do you believe love can be strong enough to trap someone between worlds? Have you ever experienced something similar? And if you want more stories that will make you question every strange sound in your house, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the next story might be even more disturbing. It might be about something that happened closer to you than you imagine. Until next time, and remember, not everything that plays in the dark wants to be found.